It's a long time since I looked at this.
A long time since I saw his film.
Yeah.
That was terribly exciting and a wonderful opportunity. You know, there was always a thought we might change the world by doing something nobody'd seen before which might be successful.
In the late 40s, rover engineers Spen King and Tony Worcester were working on taking the motor car into the jet age.
Gas turbine engines were obviously sweeping the aircraft world, and we thought there was a strong possibility they might do the same thing for motor cars.
We were at the forefront, really, of, you can't call it technology, but we were doing things nobody else were doing.
It's a very, very simple device indeed. It's really a jet engine with a power turbine instead of the propelling nozzle at the back end of it. And that drives the back axle, it drives the motor car.
Rover had always been a byword for solid, conservative engineering. Yet this former maker of pedal and motorcycles had stolen a world lead as a result of a wartime friendship between Rover's Maurice Wilks and Frank Whittle. Though they fell out over Rover designs on Whittle's fledgling jet engine, Wilks saw the potential of a jet-powered car, and in 1945 brought in Frank Bell and the young Spen King to head a development team cryptically known as Department C. After 4 hard years, Jet 1 was ready to roll.
The starting procedure's a bit slow because you've got to wind the thing up to speed. And then when you get it up to, I don't know, about 18,000 or something, you've got quite a reasonable response after that.
She's only warming up, but wait till Spencer King opens her up, and then it's goodbye us.
Very like an aeroplane. You've got a wonderful push in the back. I mean, it had a terrific amount of mid-range acceleration. They were jolly good cars to drive.
After a world record run in 1952, where the car was taken at over 150 miles an hour, the men of Department C stepped out of the limelight, continuing their work on the gas turbine behind closed doors. In the meantime, Rover had to sell cars to the real world. The company's reputation for reliable, traditional and above all British cars had to be maintained. Their customers expected it. But the Rover of the late 40s was a world away from focus groups and marketing panels. Here the engineer was king and Solihull was awash with white coats and slide rules. Chief Engineer Maurice Wilks wanted to launch the company into the future, and he found his inspiration in the striking American Studebaker.
I remember him saying to me at the back end of a Studebaker would make a very good front end for a motor car. He became convinced that what was called the new shape of motor cars, where you didn't have separate front wings, was logical and right. And pushing the engine forward so that it got out of the way of the passenger's feet and so forth, he was convinced that was right. These ideas were put together, and out came P4.
And out it certainly did come. Launched in 1949, the chrome-laden P4 with its signature Cyclops fog light was quite unlike anything the British had seen before. But the public weren't quite ready to join Rover in its great leap forward, considering the styling a little too garish. 2 years later, the fog light was gone and the front end refined, giving the P4 a more classic Rover look. Sold as the Rover 75 and later 60 and 90, the car soon gained a fine reputation across Britain and the Empire. In 1955, one made its way to George Rattray, working for the Colonial Service in Kenya.
I first saw the Rover at the Royal Agricultural Show in Nairobi. The Rover seemed a rather nice car. The roads were very bad in Kenya. They were earth roads. The conditions demanded a car that was reliable. One didn't want to get stuck out in the bush.
Now retired to leafy Abingdon, the car retains the pedigree of its colonial days. "45 years on, George still enjoys the distinctiveness of Rover engineering, epitomised in long-forgotten devices such as the free-wheel system.
It was an economy device, really. Car had to be pulling when you changed the free. So there it is, I'm now in free. And I can change gear anywhere without using the clutch. I won't go up to 90 today. It's an old lady now, you know. You've got to treat her rather gently.
By the late 50s, the P4 had become known as the Auntie Rover, assuming the character of British civility and refinement. With this image in mind, no one would have guessed that within the heart of Rover, jet experiments lived on. In the shadow of the modern Solihull plant is the ghost of Department C. In these buildings, 50 engineers and designers worked behind closed doors, continuing their quest to revolutionise the motor car.
Have a look in here, because I think that wall over there is yellow painted.
Yeah, that was the drawing office.
That's right.
This was the build shop. Charlie Hudson's office was just there. We lived at a time when we felt that we could reach out and on a shoestring do almost anything. That spirit pervaded the whole of our work. We used to sleep, breathe and live gas turbines. Maurice Wilkes produced a culture which was tremendously inventive.
And we had our contacts up in the engineering department. We could get a little job done and that sort of thing. And so we worked, and they were just as interested in what we were doing and why we did the extraordinary things.
With only old Max as protection, the gas turbine boys were often found driving their latest lash-up round the back lots of Solihull.
And we never actually killed anyone. And I'm very relieved because I realised a gas turbine is a lethal weapon. And I can remember the rotor bursting. And the piece went up, hit the roof, cut a water main, sprayed water everywhere, and we were scared stiff. We were running fast. Anything happened, one person got bumped on the head and got sprayed with water, so we were extraordinarily lucky.
While in the back rooms of Solihull, engineers were looking forwards, at the front, they still appeared to be looking backwards. The newly developed P5 took its cues from the P4. Its conservative looks became a firm favourite with the British establishment. The next gas turbine car could not have been more of a contrast to the heavyweight P5. Built in the new lightweight material of glass fibre, T3 started life in 1956 as an unofficial exercise to design a car around a jet engine.
Gordon Bashford, who was the company's prime designer of motor cars, he and I started doing it in our spare time. I broke my leg from skiing and I had my leg in plaster. I used to go to his house and we used to work in the evenings with plaster dust all over the carpet. It was very much a private venture, in a way a fiberglass experiment as well as anything else.
This private venture appeared to have paid off, but the futuristic T3 had some old problems. Like the P4 in freewheel, it had no engine braking.
You legally got to reverse, single forward and single reverse. No engine braking, so you've got to watch your jet pipe temperature. Yeah. They wanted to drive this car with a foot on the accelerator the whole time, full engine revs, and just put the foot on the brakes for the corners. Yeah. And of course you ball the fluid.
Though clearly not the car to do an emergency stop in, T3 was still considered a good ride.
It's lovely to drive.
Yeah.
I would drive along on the road, and people would hear something different, and they would look up there
That's
because
right.
they heard a gas turbine. They looked for the noise, gas turbine noise. Where's this plane?
The future of Rover gas turbines looked bright, even gaining a royal seal of approval in 1958 when Prince Philip took to the wheel. But already other manufacturers were developing their own turbine cars. And behind the smiles, the engineers knew they were now racing against time.